What is a lie you have told that has gotten so ridiculously out of hand that you've had to keep building on it and is now a part of your life? When I was 10 I learned I could make myself throw up. So I used this to get out of school for like 2 weeks. My parents couldn't figure what was wrong with me because I didn't have a fever or anything. My aunt had the idea that I was allergic to red food dye. Because her grandson, my second cousin, was. I just kinda rolled with it. And so for years my house never had red Gatorade, it's strawberry Pop-Tarts, etc. I eventually told my parents I was faking it when I turned 20. They were not amused. Told my employer that I was Jewish. Not Jewish. Had to research all the holidays. Pick a temple to be a member of. etc. Had to get a new job. In an ironic twist of fate, I used to tell people that I had a heart condition. And that's why I took pills daily. It's actually Prozac. Found out about a year and some change ago that I do, in fact, have a heart condition. I lied so hard that I retroactively gave myself a heart condition. Fake it till you make it. I have a horizontal scar on my stomach from a surgery I had when I was a baby. For some reason in elementary school I would tell everyone that it was from when a bear attacked me. I'm now almost 30 and people I went to elementary school with still recognize me in public as that guy that got attacked by a bear. I dislocated my knee dancing like a maniac whilst drunk in January. Ended up on crutches for 3 weeks. Told everyone at work I did it bending down to grab something from the freezer because I didn't want them to think I was a drunken maniac. People at work are still shocked that I dislocated it so easily and keep saying how unlucky I am and bringing the sympathy. Now I just feel like a fraud. Pretty silly, but I think it fits the bill. When I was about 5 I remember being in the bathroom and brushing my teeth. My mum was there and berated me for something. Later, being a sensitive child, I was crying in bed about it. My parents came in all concerned and my mum asked, "Was it because I yelled at you earlier?" Full stop. Embarrassed at being caught out so easily I said no. I'm sad because I can't swim. Soon after I was taken to swimming lessons. I hated swimming. I am a professor and many times I will tell personal stories in an effort to demonstrate tough concepts. About half of these stories I made up at some point. I don't remember which ones are real and which ones are lies. So I just go with them and don't worry about it. That I am allergic to bees. I was so scared of them in grade school and junior high that I convinced everybody that I am allergic so they don't judge me when I run from bees. Met my wife on one of those telephone chat dating things in the 90s. Basically, before OkCupid, you would sign up for a voicemail and describe yourself. We connected and went out but were both embarrassed for using it. Fast forward 18 years. We continue to tell everyone we met in the music section at Borders. A couple years ago, I went to a bar in a town I didn't expect to be in very often. And I decided to don a Scottish accent and make up a backstory for a fictitious version of myself. Now, I doubt my accent would have fooled someone actually from Edinburgh. But by the end of the night I had a group of Americans and one bemused Australian chatting with me about the things that make the US a strange place to visit from abroad. Shots were bought. Backslaps given. And a good night had. I thought nothing else of it. Until I was dating a girl from the next town over. And she took me to her favorite bar. That bar. We walked in. Someone greeted me by my name. And I did the only thing I could do, cheerfully donned my fraudulent accent. Explained that my business trip had been indefinitely extended. And spent the next 20 minutes furtively explaining to my date that I wasn't a con man. Just an ex-actor with terrible impulse control. While me and my so were still dating, maybe 2 weeks or so in, she winked at me when I walked into the pub she worked in. Me being the goof that I am winked back but messed it up on purpose and just sort of shut my eyes tight for a second. Making her believe that I couldn't wink. Now it's over 6 years later and she still doesn't think I'm capable of winking. One of my favorite things to do is just stand behind her and wink my ass off. Purely for my own amusement. When I was a little kid, I told my mom I really liked her tuna casserole. I was just trying to be nice and pay her a compliment since she seemed like she was having a bad day. Pretty much every time I go to visit her she has some tuna casserole waiting for me. I don't actually like tuna casserole that much. But it's such a sweet gesture that I don't have the heart to tell her to stop. This has been going on for over 30 years now. When I was younger I walking home at night and the street lights were off. I got scared and starting running. Knocked myself clean out on a lamppost. Someone walking their dog found me and called the ambulance. I was embarrassed when I woke up. I told the nurse I was mugged. I was 12. My parents turned up at the same time as the police. I gave a description that sounded a lot like Gonzo from the Muppets and police were searching the area with sniffer dogs. Thank Christ nobody was arrested and I still haven't told my parents. Edit. Thank you for the gold. A mixed bag of comments and yes I still feel guilty now. I think it definitely snowballed out of control and I still can't tell my parents because of reasons. My brother had a GF with a younger sister my age and they all came to watch me play baseball once. I was pretty smitten with the younger sister and so after the game I started bragging about how I played guitar. My brother laughed in my face and said I had got a guitar but it had been collecting dust for months and I'd never have the patience to learn an instrument anyway. I was so embarrassed by being called out and doubted. I went home. Told my mom I wanted to take lessons again. And here I am 20 years later still playing guitar every day. When I was a kid, I got the bright idea to put a knotted cherry stem under my tongue. And then show my sister an untied stem and magically tie it in a knot in my mouth in seconds. Fast forward about 20 years my entire extended family thinks I have this weird ability to tie knots with my tongue. It's a complete lie. At this point I refuse to do it. And get almost defensive when people bring it up or ask to show it again. Pretty sure I got the idea from The Simpsons or Pete and now has stuck with me as a curse. A girl I lived with 2 years ago thought I was stealing her yogurt out of the fridge. I told her it couldn't have been me since I'm allergic to dairy. And now I still can't eat dairy in front of her or anyone from that friend group. She made me a dairy-free cake for my birthday. The guilt is eating me alive. Edit. Yeah I ate the F-King yogurt and it was delicious. Also I'm not a guy. I was scared of heights and would get sick by the sight of blood. Needed a job. Lied about all this to become a firefighter. I love my job. My sister has told our family that she was abducted by aliens. She says that they come and take her once every few months and perform experiments on her. My parents found her an abduction support group and she has to go to meetings once a month. This has been going on for 7 years now. She told me that she was going to tell them initially it was an April Fool's Day prank but she let it slide a little too long. Now look what happened. My daughter was accidentally conceived in a threesome when our friend's birth control failed. We just told everyone that we got a surrogate because my wife wanted to focus on her career. No one actually knows that our friend didn't want to get an abortion so my wife and I decided to take the baby in as if she was ours. It actually worked pretty well. In the past 4 years since, my wife has been promoted and is making $sign while I stay home with our daughter. My wife sometimes says that she accidentally had her cake and ate it because she now has a daughter and her body is still the same. I shat in a rock pool. We used to go camping in an idyllic beachside location with huge tides, 10m. When I was 12-13 we went for an explore and swim in the rock pools. I was away from the group and needed to poop. So I did. My parents were of the alternative persuasion and nude a lot of the time. I thought they would be fine with the naturalness of the thing. Wrong. 10 minutes later the group circles back and notice a huge stunned mullet. I was smirking until I realized that the sounds coming from them weren't laughter, but angry shock. Led by my father saying, "Push TS in such a beautiful spot." Totally taken aback. I suggested the short round friend Razzie. Everyone believed me and it has stuck ever since. Even till today. Almost 20 years later. The family brings up the time Razali shat in the rock pool. When I was a kid. For birthdays. My mom would always get us whatever cake we wanted. Chocolate. Vanilla. Cookie. Ice cream. Etc. Well. One year, I was probably about 8 or 9. She got me an ice cream cake. I don't like ice cream cake at all. It's not even cake. I like cake. I like ice cream. But not ice cream cake. Well. She was so happy that she had gotten my favorite cake and flavor right that I just went along with it. Then next year, I got another ice cream cake. Still didn't say anything. Not wanting to hurt her feelings again. And again the year after that. This has been going on every year since and I'm now 30. Only my wife knows that I don't like ice cream cake. So each year she secretly gets me a cookie cake for at home and we don't tell my mom. I once told people I had been bitten by a venomous snake to get out of work for a few days. I had already called in sick a ton of times and just could not face them if I did it again. I am young and in good health. There is just no way even an old frail person is ill as much as I am calling in. So yes, snake bite. They knew I kept venomous and I thought this is a great idea. Turns out they were fascinated and wanted to see, so I had to wrap my foot up in a huge bandage and hobble around for weeks. Luckily I was moving to another job I actually didn't hate a few weeks after that. I didn't have to deform my own foot or actually let one of my venomous bite me so that I would not get busted. I was not far off doing so. Edit, this has got attention and is quite a unique lie. This lie broke. It shattered, but it's a great story. My chiropractor, great bloke. Not great English. Fairly gullible, lived with my drinking buddy at the time and one night with my last name being Rhodes. We decided to convince him I was the last of the ruling elites of Rhodesia in exile in Australia since the rise of Zimbabwe. Even set up a blog. Last of the Rhodesians, which got me in so much trouble when a racist took it over. Slipped in Leo DiCaprio's accent from Blood Diamond occasionally. All was going well. I'd go get my back fixed, spin a yarn about a semi-made up land and laugh all the way home. This went on for months. And then my mum invited my chiropractor, let's call him Patel, to a family barbecue. First thing he said to my mum. So how did you get out of Rhodesia? And a laugh went out so loud and so far. Even OBF King 1 felt it. I was not the last king of Rhodesia. A friend of mine was in his second year of university and at a networking business development event at the school. This guy was never much of an academic but was someone you would call street smart and good with people. My friend hits it off with the CEO of a pretty sizable company. At the end of their chat, the CEO says, stay in touch and let me know when you're graduating. My friend is pretty quick on his feet and said he was an alumni. There to help mentor students and catch up with other alumni. CEO set up an interview in the marketing department because he liked my friend's ideas during their initial convo. Of course, since the department head was told by the CEO to interview the guy, it was just a formality. Friend got the job and dropped out of school. He is now the marketing director of another major firm. This is 8 years later, and had never graduated from university. Though he puts it on his resume. But by now his work experience is so strong that no one even cares about the school. I had a co-worker tell me he got married on accident. It was Christmas morning and he bought his girlfriend a ring as a Christmas present. They were both sitting around the tree and when she opened it she started to cry and said, well, are you going to ask me? That's when he realized what he had done. He got down on one knee and asked her to marry him. Moral of the story. Don't ever buy a ring for a girl unless you are planning on marrying her. That I'm attending college. You tell your parents that you go to South Harmon Institute of Technology. At work. For whatever reason. When I first started I told a girl that I was married. I was never married. It got so out of hand that I actually bought a fake wedding ring. The whole hospital thinks I'm a husband. I've had friends call in pretending they're my wife. It's so crazy out of hand now that I think I would be fired if the truth came out. When I was a kid and playing on Xbox Live with people from all over the world, I used to put on this Dutch sounding accent when talking to new people. Partly because I didn't like how my normal accent sounded, especially when hearing it back. And also because I was weird. I met some good friends throughout the year or so that I did it. I'm still in touch but nowhere near as much as we used to be. We'll have a Skype call every now and again. And even after 6-7 years, I still put the accent onto them. Obviously with us being good friends. I also lied about an awful lot of background things. It's like I created this other person. I never intended for it to go like this. But I could never tell them I've lied about my accent. Which stemmed into a bunch of other things. And even now after all these years, I'm the Dutch guy that has only ever spoke English. It goes much deeper but that's basically it. Someone at work who is grungy, a chain smoker, and never washes her hands, made a carrot cake and was asking people to try it. I told them I was allergic to carrots. I love carrots. To this day whenever I order or bring a salad to work I have to have it with no carrots. That's what you get for making the lie so broad. Should have just claimed not to like carrot cake for some reason. Like, it was served at a party the day your grandma died and it just makes you too sad to eat it. That way you can still have cake. You can still have carrots. You've limited yourself the minimum amount. And even if one day you get caught eating it, just say you got over it because your grandma wouldn't have wanted to spoil something for you that you used to enjoy. I tried to commit suicide by driving my car 60 miles per hour into a large tree. I walked away unscathed and told people I dodged a deer. I've never told a single person the truth about that night. Everyone I work with thinks I watch The Walking Dead. I haven't viewed it since season 2. Now I find myself reading the synopsis of episodes the day after they come out just to perpetuate the lie. That is very efficient. As a kid I had a large mole removed which then popped its stitches leaving a quite sizable scar. When asked about it, I tell people my best friend stabbed me with a steak knife around the age of 11 in his garage. Best part is, to this day he'll tell the same story. My wife doesn't even know the truth. When I first started dating this girl I told her that I don't like PRN. Flash forward 6 years. We're married and watching an episode of Friends where one of the girls thinks her BF doesn't like PRN. My wife turns to me and says, well, not all guys like PRN. You don't like it, right? Me. That's right. Honey. It's not for me. It. Welp. My inbox blew up. Thanks for the gold. Anonymous friend. And thanks for all the comments. I'm going to tell her I like PRN tonight. Update. She's cool with it. She said she's only seen PRN a couple times, but would be willing to watch it together sometime. Glances up from screen that has PRN on it. Right. I have to pretend to have a bad memory because when I remember small or insignificant details people tend to get a little weird about it. I'm an architect. I'm an importer-exporter. I told people I was a calibration specialist in the motorsports field. And it gained traction. I made funny videos about tuning cars. Naming my tunes ridiculous names to the point that people were requesting that I tune their cars that lead to a job in a hot rod shop. They thought I was a real deal calibration specialist. I faked it and spun it into a project and build management role in that shop. After leaving that shop I was picked up by a tuning company and I actually learned how to calibrate certain vehicles so that I can manipulate the computer to make horsepower safely. I will now begin to do it as a main source of income. All this happened in a span of 5 years.